Alright everybody, so today I'm going to show you guys the 3 fish tanks that I have. Start off with the smallest tank. This is a 10-gallon. It's got black sand, it's planted. I've got a beta, male beta. There's 3 Cory catfish. See if they'll come out for you guys, but there's some Java ferns, there's some swords, got a banana plant up there, got some lily pads going on up here. So, and I've also got some wood coming out of the top of this thing with a pothos growing out of it, kind of like an aquaponics deal. It's got some lucky bamboo in there as well. You can see all the roots coming down from the pothos. Those are going all the way into the substrate. Got a couple snails in there. My bigger tank had a snail problem, so I kept putting all my extra snails in here because I think the beta was eating them. There's all the old empty snail shells. There's a big fat Cory cat. They really do enjoy the sand. I've noticed I've had Cory cats in gravel tanks and in sand. The gravel tanks, the whiskers on the Cory cats definitely seem shorter, like they might be getting pinched off in the gravel or damaged. They still eat fine. They don't really have trouble finding food. But definitely the Cory cats are so much more fun to watch in the sand. They really burrow down into the sand to find food. Sometimes they kick up the little white planaria worms and the beta will eat them. So there's a little bit of a rundown on that one. I need to replant that sword there. It's not looking so hot. It does have new growth. That's a recent purchase, so it's gonna die back before it actually starts to grow again. Alright, moving on. Let's go to the 20-gallon. So again, some banana plants. I got some Bucephalandra going back there. Can't remember what these purple ones are called. They are growing. They're growing kind of slowly, but they haven't died. They've been in there a few months. This giant Anubias I had, it I guess came unplanted. I got to replant that. So these are albino tiger barbs. I gave them a tank all to themselves. They're really nippy. Not great community fish unless you have a giant tank with lots of room and lots of hiding places, but the tanks I have, these probably would have not gotten along with some of my other fish. They're kind of aggressive. As you can see, they chase each other around constantly. There's about 2 or 3 males and about 5 females in there. You want to have 2 to 3 females for every 1 male. That way the aggression between the males and females gets spread out equally. That way no one fish gets picked on too much. I just recently put the background on this tank. It didn't have one before, and it was getting a lot of extra light from the glass door over here, so it was having a little bit of algae, so I put a background on it to help keep some of the light from the door out of the tank when the tank light is not on, so it's not getting extra light. I'll tell you what, though, 2 of the best purchases I've recently made are these current satellite LED lights. They've got a lot of different settings, color settings. There's lunar modes, there's cloud cover modes. As you can see here, that's the full spectrum. There's a blue, purple, orange, there's some white. The lunar mode is really cool. The blue. I'm filming this on my phone, so you can't really see it perfectly, but it will kind of fade in and fade out and get brighter. There's even a thunderstorm mode where you can do thunderstorms, so it simulates cloud cover. The lights will get brighter, they'll get dimmer, they'll flash on and off to simulate lightning. see what it does here. I think I just pressed the thunderstorm button. Maybe I didn't. Oh, here we go. There it goes. So I have this giant pothos next to my window over here, so I keep snipping pieces off of it, and it did so well in the beta tank that I've got some growing in the filter of this tank. It really helps to suck out some extra nitrates, just like the normal aquarium plants. The glare on that thing. Let me turn this back. But yeah, the plants really do a lot of the work for you. They filter out some of the nitrates. If you're familiar with the nitrogen cycle, you know, ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. Nitrates, you have to either physically remove them via water changes, or plants will do some of the work for you. It's really about finding that balance between how many plants, the size of the tank, how many fish you have, to find that balance. And that also dictates how often you have to do water changes. You just kind of have to monitor your nitrates. Alright, moving on to the big guy. So this is a 75 gallon big angelfish here. He's kind of the star of the tank. These mag floats, glass cleaners, they're really cool. It's magnetic. One goes outside, one goes inside the tank. You just leave them on there. Whenever you need to clean your glass, you just go for it. Oh, I just kind of leave them on sitting up here. So I got some new swords, doing pretty good. Those are some Cryptocorn Winty, I think is what they are. Bronze Cryptocorn Winty. Red Tiger Lotus. I had this thing in the back of the tank back there for like a year, and it never grew, and then I moved it up here to the corner. I don't know if it's from the sunlight from the door, if it's from the new current satellite LEDs that I got, or what, but this thing has just started to do amazing. It's kind of cramped over here in the corner, but still doing good. Got a little school of rummy nose. Got about 10 of those. Got some Cory cats. Those are panda Cory cats. I believe there is one bandit Cory cat. I believe that's this guy. No, that's a panda as well. There is a bandit Cory cat in here. At first I didn't know the difference. I thought they were all pandas, but they are actually different. There's the bandit. The pandas have a vertical stripe on the nose and another vertical stripe on the tail, but this one, how you can see, is diagonal from the top dorsal fin down to the tail. That is the bandit Cory. You see how this one, it just has more of the spots. It doesn't have the stripe that one have. That one is a bandit. This guy got a couple of those. Those are the pandas. There's another panda. I also have one albino Cory cat. He's my oldest Cory cat. He's about 5 or 7 years old now. This water sprite that I've got going back here, it is just going crazy. It's actually gotten so tall. I mean, this is a 75-gallon tank. It's not shallow by any means, and as you can see, this thing is coming up out of the water. It's so tall. I got another little piece of the pothos going. I just start sticking that stuff everywhere. You can never have too many plants in your tank, in my opinion. It helps for the water quality a lot. So the 10, I started off with a 10-gallon. A buddy of mine actually got me a 75-gallon that was cracked for free. Someone had a snake or something in it, and I was gonna break down the cracked glass. There's the two Siamese algae eaters. Those often get confused for Chinese algae eaters. I might make another video soon on why not to get Chinese algae eaters. These guys are the better option. The main difference is the Chinese algae eaters, they have a black stripe down the side as well, and they look very similar. That's why they get confused a lot. One thing to look for well, they disappeared now, but if they come out again, the black stripe on the side, it goes all the way down their body and into the tail. The Chinese algae eater has the black stripe, but the black stripe does not extend into the tail. So that's one easy way to tell those apart. There's Norman back there. You can see his tail, his white albino little tail. He's really the only fish that we've named. I don't know why. His name is Norman. We always yell at him. What's up, Norman? Come say hello to the peeps. So there's some Anubias up here. That is Anubias nana, I believe. They're a few years old. They're doing great. As you can see, none of my plants have any algae on them. Some of the rocks and some things like that, they've got a little bit of algae buildup. I've got the skull hiding back here. There's the Siamese. You see how the black goes into the tail? What's up, Angel? He's my OG. He's like 7 years old. I actually saw a lady on Craigslist. This is how I got this guy. It's also how I got this 20-gallon tank. A lady on Craigslist, she was posting and she was like, I have a fish tank. It was my boyfriend's or something, and like we broke up and he left and didn't take the tank, and she didn't want the tank and she didn't want anything to do with it. She was like, you can have everything, but you have to come take the tank down, drain the water, take the fish. You know, she's like, you have to take everything, but you can have it for free. So, I mean, free 20-gallon tank, a couple free fish. There was a bala shark in the tank. There was a freaking massive bala shark in a tank with this guy in a 20-gallon with some other fish. Totally cramped. I had him for about a year. The bala shark died. He got really big, and this was before I had the 75-gallon, so I'm not really sure why he died. I mean, none of the other fish in the tank died. I don't recommend bala sharks. They get really huge, especially when you keep them in small tanks. They get really huge, but their skeletal system does not grow, but their organs keep growing, so their organs end up pushing against their skeleton because the skeleton isn't growing anymore, but the organs are, and then the fishes end up dying because their organs get squished together. It's kind of sad. So that's why I don't, really do your research about fish before you buy one. A lot of pet stores, they sell them when they're really small and they look real cute, and then, a year later they're twice the size you ever thought they could get, and then your tank's too small, and then everybody says they're always going to get a bigger tank, but they never do. And also, some fish just don't do well in certain tanks. All the water parameters, the environment, the other fish in the tank, everything kind of plays into, you're really creating your own little ecosystem here. So everything has to be balanced, including the species of fish, species of plants. Some plants actually release chemicals that will kill other plants. Allelopathy, I think is what it's called. Allelopathy, something like that. That's about, how plants interact with each other. So if a plant doesn't like the plant that it's beside, it can actually release chemicals, or I don't know what they're called, chemicals, I guess, to kill other plants. Got some grass going down here. So yeah, I just got bored. I just wanted to show you guys my tanks. Just talk about some random stuff. Again, I've got the current satellite LED. I don't have a top on the 75-gallon. I do have a top on the 20-gallon. I don't have a top on this one because the way the plants and the wood come out of the top. I don't really have too much of a problem with fish jumping out. I have had a few. One of these Siamese algae eaters, he jumped out one day, and I was in the other room and just heard a weird noise and just didn't know what it was. So I came in the other room trying to figure out where this noise was coming from, and it just sounded like a little pitter patter kind of noise, and I had no idea what it was. I didn't hear a splash or anything like that. It was just a little pitter patter noise, and I came in here, and one of those Siamese algae eaters, wherever they went, he had jumped out of the tank and was flopping around on the table over here. And so I was able to scoop him up, put him back in there. That was like 2 years ago. Still doing strong, still kicking it. So Yeah, I don't have too much trouble with fish jumping out. I've had my tanks for about 3 to 5 years now, and I've had like 3 fish maybe jump out. I ended up losing 2 of them. I came home and they were dried up on the floor, but I was able to save the Siamese. Also, one thing to keep in mind, especially with some smaller tetras like rummy nose, I don't know if you can see or not, but like on this Java fern, how some of these leaves are starting to deteriorate. You see how the internal, like the structure of the leaf is still intact, but the inside, the green part of the leaf has like gone away, and it almost kind of creates like a netting, like how you can see the structure, the stems in the leaf, but the actual leaf part is gone. That basically can turn into a gill net. I came in to turn on my tanks one day, and one of my rummy nose had swam through one of the holes in the leaves of the plant and had gotten stuck in the hole of the plant, and he probably would have died. He probably would have got his gills stuck in there, wouldn't have been able to breathe, and died. It basically turned the plant, as it deteriorates, it basically turns into a gill net. So keep in mind of that. Trim away dead leaves. I'm probably going to trim away these after I finish making this video, but definitely trim away your dead leaves. Save your fish. Don't let your plants gill net your fish. Almost found that one out the hard way. Got some Otocinclus in here. You can hardly ever find them. They blend in so well, and they're so small. There is a Pictus catfish in this tank. He just moved. I saw him in the skull. That's where he likes to hang out. You probably never see him. He's always hiding in the skull. They're really cool fish, though. You can see him at night. He comes out at night. Again, the lunar nightlight feature on these current satellite LEDs is so cool for nighttime. Before, when the tank went dark and the whole room is dark, you couldn't see in the tank at all. But now, even when it's totally dark, you've got some moonlight going on. Let me turn off this other light to get some of this glare out of here. There we go. Here's a better view. The other 2 tanks are on, so that's kind of playing into that a little bit, but both my 75 and the 20 gallon, they both have the current satellite LEDs. So they both have this feature. The one that's on my bigger tank is a little bit nicer because it comes with the integrated 24-hour timer. You can kind of see it hanging off to the side there. So it's on a 24-hour timer. I never have to turn this tank on or off. The only thing to keep in mind that I didn't like about it was that even though it's on a 24-hour timer, if you put the tank on one of the dynamic modes, such as like the cloud cover or any of these other dynamic modes, the tank will stay on that mode until you turn it off. If the timer goes to turn the tank off, the timer is basically taken out at that point. If you press one of those mode buttons, the light will just stay on as long until you turn it back off, which kind of sucks. If you accidentally want to put it on a mode or whatever and you think the timer is going to cut it off, it won't. The light will just stay on, so that kind of sucks. Because the one that's on this tank, it doesn't have the timer, so I do have to I actually bought a little timer from Lowe's for $5, and so this light is timed on that, and so when I put this one on whatever mode I want, it will stay on that mode, it will turn off with that timer, and then when it turns back on, it turns on to the exact mode that I left it on before, whether it be the lunar mode, whether it be the cloud cover mode, whatever. On this one, when you put it on one of those modes, it stays on that mode. The timer will not turn it off at night when you put it on that mode. So you have to make sure you come back before the timer is supposed to turn the tank off, and you have to make sure to hit resume timer, because anytime you click one of those modes, it basically turns the timer off, which I think kind of sucks because, everybody wants to be able to do the cloud cover modes, but if you forget to turn it off, it's going to stay on, and as bright as these LEDs are, if you leave that light on all night, you're going to get an algae bloom. So it's cool to come in here at night when the fish are all bedded down and just see how they react at night and to see the Pictus catfish come out. The Pictus catfish, they stay really small, but they have the whiskers and all the traits of some of the bigger catfish that everybody wants. He's got really long whiskers. He's got that catfish mouth, that big wide oval shaped mouth. So it looks like a catfish that would get a lot bigger, but it stays really small. But a lot of the other catfish in the hobby that stay small, they don't look the part of some of the bigger catfish that I think everybody really likes with the whiskers and the big mouth. The Cory cats, they have small whiskers, and some of the other catfish that stay small, they don't look the part of some of the bigger catfish. So I finally found one that did. It's called the Pictus catfish. Look it up. So yeah, this tank is dirted with organic potting soil. The other two tanks I have are not. So this one definitely has some of the better plant growth, especially since I got the new light. For filtration on the 10 and the 20, I've just got hang-on back filters. There's a hang-on back with the oxygen stone, air stone, hang-on back here. This tank is a little bit different. This tank, it's got the overflow here in the corner, and so that runs down. I believe this is called a Durso standpipe, because it's not actually just a vertical, standpipe where the water just goes down the tube. It actually gets sucked up here and it goes around the tube, so it makes it a lot quieter, so you don't just hear that gurgling of all the water going down the pipes. The pump comes up the other pipe, comes out here. In the bottom, got a 10-gallon. Got the shut-off valves. Got my bulkhead fittings. Got it all glued up. It's a 10-gallon tank. I've got a basic sump filter. I basically copied this from King of DIY, Joey. Really simple. You just go get a stack of plastic drawers from Walmart, whatever, drill some holes in all the drawers so the water can flow down, and then you just put whatever filter media you want in the trays, and it's as simple as opening the drawers and switching them out whenever you want to change your filters. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Saved me a lot of money instead of buying like a $70, $60, sump filter. Really simple, really easy. I got some pumps, just some, pumps from eBay, wherever you want to get them, doesn't really matter. Submersible pond pump, whatever. Just make sure you get the right pump size for your tank. You want your tank to cycle a few times per hour. So if you have an 80-gallon tank, you want to cycle that a couple times per hour. Let's say 3 times per hour. You need a pump that does 160 plus 80. You're going to need some flow. So alright guys, so that's the video.